Hey, so we're here checking out your tooth UVs. We're gonna set them up today. Now they're different from the ones in the book at the moment, but that's alright, because it's actually pretty common just due to slight variations in the way this model is modeled compared to the one in the book. You know, you're gonna get something a little different to work with, but that's alright because the whole process is just going to be cutting and sewing different pieces until we achieve a similar UV map to that in the book. And so the end goal here, let's talk about what this should look like when we're all done. What we want is basically our UV snapshot here should look like two views of this tooth, okay? One from the front should look basically like this, okay, more or less, and one from the back, alright? So our UVs over here are going to look quite like just the outline of our tooth, alright? So how do we make that happen out of what we have here, which is, you know, some strange shapes going on? It's important to first kind of figure out what exactly we're looking at here, so that we can kind of figure out where things go. So a good technique for that would be to go to edge mode and grab some of these edges, okay? So you can really see what edge they really are, what they represent on the tooth. So as soon as I grab that edge, over here in our scene window, you can see this edge lights up, alright? So this edge is the UV representation of this edge on our actual model, okay? So the basic idea here is that we kind of want to split this tooth into two separate sides, alright? Right down this seam here, okay? This is where our UV shells are going to separate, alright? And everything over here is going to be the front, and everything over here is going to be the back. So right along this edge loop, I'll double click it so we can kind of see what's going on there. We'll go all the way around. Here we go. So along this edge loop, going all the way around the tooth, that's where we want our tooth UVs to be split, okay, and to be cut apart, and then we'll just have one solid piece for the front and one solid piece for the back. So when I grabbed all these edges in my scene window, they also lit up here in my UVs, okay? So I've selected all those UV edges. So I can now see each and every one of them, okay? Which is good. Since I have them selected, and I know I want to split along all of these edges, I can go ahead and cut them right now, alright? So I can just come up here to my little separate UVs tool, the little scissors, okay? Just hit that button, and it appears that nothing has happened at all, okay? Nothing changes, nothing going on. Looks exactly the same as it did before. It's like I never clicked the button, alright? But if I come in and go to UV mode, alright, and I grab one of these UVs, now I just clicked once on the UV, alright? So when I move that with my move tool, you can see it pulls apart from the other side, alright? I can do the same thing here. Can pull it right off, alright? So even though it appears to still be one solid piece, it's now actually separated into two different pieces. Now if I accidentally marquee select, alright, and that is meaning when I click and drag to select that, I will select all UVs that are in this box that I drag, okay? So when I do that, not only have I selected the UV that's part of this half, but I've also selected the UV that's part of this half. So when I move that, I'm moving both of them at the same time. So they appear to be one and the same UV, okay? So you have to make sure, be very careful when you're selecting things like this, that you just click rather than click and drag to select things, okay? So that you can pull those apart separately from one another, alright? Another really useful way to select these UVs, okay, once you have them in separate shells, okay? And, you know, when I'm saying shells, what that means is just a separate group of UVs, okay? So any group of UVs is called a UV shell, alright? So here, for example, we have two separate shells. This group of UVs here and this group of UVs over here, alright? Even though they look like they're all together. We know we cut them, so they're not. So, a really great way to grab all the UVs on one shell and not the other, and move things really quickly, because, you know, it can get quite tedious to come in here and grab every single one of these one at a time and try to move them, you know, and if you have a complex object, that can be a pain. We can actually grab a UV on one of the shells that's not, you know, right along this line touching the other shell, okay? And we can use Shift, hold down Shift, and press the period key, okay? So that'll be basically as if you were typing the greater than symbol, alright? Every time you do that, I'm going to Z back so you can see that again. Every time that you do that, you hold that Shift key down and press period for that greater than symbol. Basically what's going to happen is every UV that is connected by an edge to the UV you have selected is then going to be selected as well. Okay, so I'll press it once, and it's selected more UVs, okay? And if I press it again, now we've got these ones down here. If I press it again, we also have these down here. And, you know, it doesn't matter how many times I press it. Once it gets to the edge of that UV and UV shell and there are no more UVs to select, it just won't do anything, alright? Similarly, if I use Shift and comma, which will give me the less than symbol, I can deselect those, okay? So again, we'll just use that button. Now we've grabbed everything in this shell and we can easily pull it away from the other one, alright? Now, something important to note. I'm going to sew this back together real quick, okay? Just to demonstrate, alright? I'm just going to sew that back together. Alright, so I've got my one solid shell here. And we'll make sure it's solid just by grabbing it. You can see this is all connected. If I grab these and use my Shift and greater than key, this is just all one solid piece, okay? I've re-sewn it together. Now, something to be careful of. If I go ahead and grab, you know, an edge, I'll grab this one. You can see there's actually an edge right here separated by a UV right here. Okay, you can see it on the tooth here where the separation happens between these two edges. It's, you know, maybe it's a little difficult to see or to notice at first if you're not careful. You know, maybe I grabbed these three edges and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to split this into two separate pieces. I'm gonna hit my cut tool. Okay, great. Now because I haven't separated these two pieces completely from one another, remember they're still attached by this small edge right here. You know, I can grab UVs and move them and all that good stuff. But because they're still attached, if I try that technique where I just grab one over here and use my Shift and greater than symbol, it's going to travel along this edge where things are still connected, and it's going to grab the whole thing. Alright. So it's going to grab all of those UVs when maybe we don't necessarily want it to. Alright? And it looks like it's stopped right here, which leads me to believe that this may not be connected. So let's test that theory. Yep. Okay, so when I pull that apart, even though this looked to me like one solid piece, it's actually not, alright? This is separate. So that's something I'm just noticing for the first time about this particular set of UVs. I'm just using Z to go back now, alright? So at this point, as soon as we did that cut all the way around, every single piece that needs to be cut apart has been cut apart at this point, alright? So the only thing we really need to focus on now is putting pieces back together in a way that's going to make them roughly shaped, just like a front shot or a back shot of our tooth, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and come in here, one more time and just make sure that I have cut this seam all the way across, okay, since I did some funny stuff in there. Alright, so I'm grabbing all of those edges along the side there, and I'm just gonna hit that cut tool one more time. You can hit this tool as many times as you want. If the pieces are cut, they're cut, and it won't really change anything or hurt anything, okay? Same thing with this sew tool. For example, if we take a piece that's already sewn together, this edge, for example, is already sewn together. Okay, right here, this is sewn together. We can hit this sew tool over and over again. It's not going to do anything. The only changes that are going to happen are if we use the cut tool on an edge that's already sewn together, or if we use the sew tool on an edge that has been cut apart, okay? So you don't have to worry too much about that kind of thing. Alright, so I've split this down the middle again. I'm gonna come over here, grab this little corner, use my shift greater than symbol to pull this away. Alright. Just pulling that apart. Now, we did determine that this is actually in two separate pieces right now, right? So, if we grab one of these and use our greater than symbol, it won't select the whole piece because these are separated. So, to fix that, all I need to do is grab this edge, alright? And I can pull these apart a little bit too, just so you can kind of see what's happening here a little better. I'll grab the edge, and you can see, once I grab just one of these edges, the other one lights up as well, okay? That corresponding edge lights up. That's because both of these edges that you see here represent the same edge on your model in the scene, okay? So these are essentially two representations of this same edge. One of these, the top one here, is representing this piece, okay, the bottom of this polygon up here, okay, and this bottom edge here is representing the top edge of this polygon down here, okay? So these are the same edge. It's just anytime that you have an edge, a corresponding one is going to light up, okay? Again, just indicating that, this is the edge here when you're looking at this polygon, and this edge is the same edge when you're looking at this polygon on the other side, alright? So we grab these edges, the other one lights up, we can hit the sew tool, and boom, they instantly merge together. Now it's good to check just by grabbing a UV and moving it to make sure that they are in fact sewn together. If they are not sewn together, when you grab the UV and move it, well, we'll see what happens here. Let's say we cut this apart, they're not sewn together anymore. Then when we grab the UV and move it, you can see it pulls right away. Alright, pulls apart. So I'll sew this back together again. Sew them together. Grab the UV, move it, make sure it worked. Yep, it did. Okay, great. Alright, so let's see what other pieces we have here. Okay, we have this little guy, alright. If we grab that, there's one edge right there, okay. Let's check it out on our tooth. There it is. Here's the other edge. There it is. Okay, that was part of our cut down the side of this tooth. Okay, so these two pieces should be cut apart now. This side and this side. Alright. So I can just grab a UV here. Using my shift and greater than. I can just pull that right apart. Okay. So that's now separated. That's a good idea to kind of get in mind which pieces are going to be part of the back of the tooth and which parts are going to be part of the front of the tooth. Or, you know, who knows which way really necessarily is front or back, but some will be on one side and others will be on the other side. So we know that this little bit, okay, if we take a look, here's the UVs, is on this side of the tooth. So let's see which one of these is on the same side, alright? We'll just grab those UVs. And we can see that this is on the same side, alright, is on this, we'll call this the front side of the tooth. So this guy and this guy are both gonna go together at some point. We'll just kind of set them over here. We'll set these ones over here. These are on the other side, alright? And we'll keep going with what we're doing here. Alright, so I'll go back to UV mode here. I'll just grab a UV and use my greater than key and see where that takes me. Okay, so there's a separate piece. We'll do it again. I'm just going to separate out all the pieces at this point so that I can see, you know, what's happening and what's going on here. Alright, here's another piece that's been separated. Alright. And it may also help to look at these with your color turned on here. So you can grab this little box right here. And that should show you all these little pieces. Okay, you can easily see this way where chunks are missing. Alright, so when I turn that on, you can see easily that there's a little piece missing here. You know, if you check out the shape, you can probably figure out it's these little guys. Okay, so that'll help us just visualize things a little bit better. I'm gonna start moving this over as well because it's kind of getting in the way here. And you know, you can, oops, you can move these things wherever you need to move them. Okay, we can always move them back to this gray box later, but for now we can put these wherever we want to when we're working with them. Okay. So I'll keep going here, just grabbing pieces and pulling them apart. I'll just keep hitting that shift greater than symbol until it stops selecting new verts. And I'll pull it apart. Okay, here's a piece. Same thing here. Okay, this is all one solid piece. And this. This is a piece. And this one. So it looks like you've already done a lot of cutting pieces apart and just didn't know they were cut yet. Okay, so there's a piece there. There's another piece. So these are kind of cut every which way at the moment. Oop. There's another one. There's one. This one, okay. So that's all the pieces there. Let's separate this out into separate pieces, if there are separate pieces to this. Okay, there's that. And that. Alright, now, even though we've separated all these pieces, other parts may be cut that we can't really tell at the moment, just like before when we demonstrated up here where the pieces were technically connected by some small part but were still cut in places. Alright, so we'll need to watch out for that while we're working on this. So, again, let's figure out what are these pieces? What do they represent on our tooth? Which side are they on? First, we'll just organize these by what side they're on, okay? So we'll say, alright, this piece, where is this on my tooth? If I take a look at what highlights here, I can see they're all on this side of the tooth, alright? Which, let's see. If we grab these, it's going to be the same side as these guys over here. Alright, so that goes over there with those guys. Alright, this, it follows. If we look on the other side, there it is. Alright, this goes over here with these guys. Alright, so let's see some of this other stuff. Let's grab this big piece here and see where does this go. Alright, this goes on that side with those guys. And this one also goes over there. This one probably does too, but we'll double check. Yep, it does. Oops. Make sure you grab all of it. There we go. That goes with those guys. And all of these almost certainly go over here, but we'll double check just to make sure. There's that one. Okay, it goes over here. Is this? Put that right there. It's this big long one. Okay. And these won't necessarily be shaped like the shapes you see here, okay? It's our job to make them into those shapes once we get them organized, alright? Okay. It goes over there. Here we go. So you just can see what's highlighting. And you can see, alright, this is a polygon that's on this side with these guys. Since we already split the entire tooth with our cut tool, we know that all of these things, all of these shells, are going to be either on one side or the other. Okay. Okay, so now we have the two opposite sides of the tooth. All of this is on one side, all of this is on the other side. So here we go. If we grab all of those, we've highlighted this entire side of the tooth. Sometimes it's good to go to face mode too, and just see, if I grab these, all my faces lighting up, yeah. No faces on the other side, okay, get it. These all belong together. Grab these. In face mode. Let me get face mode going here. Go to face. sometimes it'll only let you do this fun face stuff if you select it on the model itself. It may not always allow you to select faces based on UVs. I believe what you have to do in order to do that is first select the UVs in UV mode, then switch to face. Alright, and then it'll allow you to do that. Okay. Sometimes. Okay, so that's one of those moments when face mode gets a little buggy, but you can see, you know, all our highlighted UVs here are represented of these faces, okay? So, the next step is to sew these all together again, alright? And not only are we going to sew them together again, but we're also going to shape them so that they actually look like this tooth, so that they're easy to paint on, okay? The whole reason for this process is so that we can export this map that we've created of our tooth, okay? So that we can then paint cool textures on it, alright? So let's go ahead and sort out, you know, what is all this stuff anyways? Like, I've got all these pieces, but what are they? Where do they belong? How do I make a tooth shape out of all this? So, I mean, it's good to just kind of start from one point on the tooth, alright, and just go from there. Just kind of figure out where you're going from there. Okay, I'll go to UV mode now, alright, and I'm going to start with this big old piece right here, okay, since we have, it's like mostly connected already, and we can see this big old piece represents these faces, okay, these polygons. If we grab those UVs, we can try that in face mode as well. Okay, it worked for us that time. You can see these pieces are these faces. Alright. Now, they are upside down at the moment, okay? Because if we take a look a little closer here, go with UV mode, we can see that this UV right here is this guy, alright? Which you can see belongs kind of in the upper right-hand corner of the tooth, okay? And right now it's sitting on the lower left, so this is upside down. So let's go to UV mode, grab all of those, and we'll just rotate this around, alright? Ta-da! Okay, so it's kind of facing the right direction now, but it still doesn't look anything like this, right? So we just need to shape it so that it does. And basically, you know, that's just going to involve moving UVs around to try to match this shape. So we'll move this down here, and as you're grabbing these UVs, you can see them light up on the tooth. Okay, so you can kind of see what you're trying to copy here. Okay, you can see that's gonna go something like that. This is way too far down. Maybe it looks, maybe this is more over here. Maybe these are closer, but further down. So you can see, basically, all I'm trying to do here is just mimic this shape, alright? Sometimes it can help to look at this straight on in your orthographic view as well, okay? So you can get a better shot of what it looks like, alright? So this will come up here, maybe something like that. And it's not going to be beautiful at first, almost certainly, okay? So don't worry too much about it. in the beginning, but you know, get the general shape down, get it looking something like what it looks like over here. All right, and it'll get there. All right, so there we go with that piece. It's all looking pretty correct now. It looks roughly like what we see here. Okay, so what next? Do we just keep randomly shaping things? I think the best thing to do next is to go ahead and grab these edges and start placing the next pieces. Okay, so if we look here at our tooth, you know, we've got these pieces up here, all right, these ones. The next ones down are going to be these little long, skinny, thin ones, all right? So let's connect those and start shaping them. And they're going to be shaped roughly the same as the ones above them, really, just long and skinny. So how do we find them with all of these pieces here? And the way we can find them is to just go to edge mode, grab one of these edges, and see which edge lights up on one of these pieces. And we can see this one does right here. All right. So this edge and this edge are the same edge. All right. That means I should grab this and move it over here. We know that these two edges are the same. So we can just kind of move this into place pretty close and also shape it the way we want it to look, at least roughly, more or less, okay? And once we've done that, we can sew these together. So we can just grab edge and hit sew. There we go, sew them together. So let's keep going. We'll grab another edge, this one right here. What lights up? This does, all right? This right here. So this edge and this one are the same. So with that in mind, again, we can just grab this, move it over, rotate it, generally. We can kind of move this close over here. That kind of right there, move this into place. So, you know, when we're reshaping these, we want these to basically look like their counterpart over here on the actual model, right? So this should look like this, more or less. And once we do that, we need to sew it together. We need to sew both of these edges, okay? Since they're not connected, but they are connected here on our model, all right? So sew those together, ta-da, there we go. So we're gonna continue to do this. We'll go with this one now. Grab that edge, this one lights up. And it's just kind of a pretty simple process once you get the hang of it. Just finding edges, grabbing them, moving them over, and sewing them together. One of the, you know, most difficult parts about this is trying to get your shape right. Okay? So we'll do another one. We'll grab this one. There it is, right there. Grab this piece. Move it over. Start moving this stuff into place. Let's not forget this one up here, okay? So if you take a look, you can see there's one on this side, but this one is missing. Alright, so let's do that too while we're here at the top before we go down further. So if I grab that edge right there, this one lights up, this is the piece, okay? and it's kind of upside down. There we go. Sew that together. Hooray! All right, well, let's continue on down the tooth. Next set of edges, if we continue down from these little teeny tiny ones, is going to be another set of pretty long skinny ones. All right, right there. So let's grab these edges and see what lights up. Okay, so this one does. We'll put that into place. I'm not going to sew it yet. I'm going to keep looking for more pieces, and then we'll sew them all together at the end, okay? Here's another piece. There's one. Okay, one more edge along here. Oh, there it is. Okay, and this one happens to be attached to a bunch of other stuff also, so that should be fun. So we'll pull this over. This whole edge. Or whole edge, excuse me, whole shell, actually. Alright, we'll pull that over there. Now we know that from grabbing this edge here, that this and this are the same edge. Okay. So we know that this is going to be this little tiny edge right here. Alright. This is the bottom of that little polygon. Okay. We can see it here as well when we select these UVs. We can see them light up. Okay. So, you know, wow, what do we do with the rest of this? Look at all this crazy stuff. Well, we can just kind of follow the UVs downwards. Alright, go, okay, here's this one. So follows that the next one down, way over here, is gonna be this one. Alright, this one is this one. Alright, so based on that, we can figure out that this face is this one. Alright, on our model. And we can just kind of do our best to try to match what's happening over here. Alright. Say, okay, well, this is a long, skinny one on the side. Kind of comes in a little bit. Maybe it looks kind of like that. And this next bit, we can follow even further down. Alright, if we go down along that line, we can see this one, which is this guy right here. And next to that is this one, right here. Alright, so we can grab that and kind of try to copy that shape that we see here. Alright, so, you know, probably not super amazing, but fine for this, okay? Totally fine. So now that we have all our pieces in place, let's sew them together. So we'll just grab our edge mode here. Start grabbing these edges. Don't forget these edges on the sides here too. Okay, don't forget to sew this stuff together. There we go, grabbed all of them, and so. Okay, so this is all one solid piece now. So let's keep filling in the gaps, because we're almost there. We've only got a few pieces left, you can see. Let's go with the next one right here. Okay, so this is going to be that great big face right there. Okay, there it is. We'll grab it, pull it over, and we'll shape it. So that goes there, go there. This can come way down here. This one can come right up next to that one. Right. Okay, and we can sew that together now. Just grab those edges, sew them together. Amazing. Now, you know, as you're doing this, you can start kind of adjusting the shape as well. I mean, if you see any problems or anything as you're shaping and you're like, okay, that doesn't look quite right, you can shape as you go. Alright, so maybe this needs to be a little thinner, for example. We'll thin this out, bring this in. Maybe this is a little too high up. Just adjust as you go along, alright? Just keep watching the shape that you're getting over here versus the shape that you see over here. Alright, keep going. We'll grab this next one. Here it is. Pull that into place. We'll go to edge mode here, sew that together. Let's keep going. I'll grab this edge this time. Okay, here it is, right here. And again, we'll just start moving this into place. Amazing. Alright, and we'll sew that together as well. Okay, just 3 pieces left now. It's getting easier to tell which is which, right? We'll grab that one next. Sew it together. Grab another one. Here it is. So you can see it's just a process really of understanding understanding what you're looking at with all these oddly shaped pieces that have been, you know, cut into different parts. All right, they're just all parts of the same solid model here. Okay, and it's just our job to put them back together again. Alright, so with that, you know, there's one side of our tooth model all done. Admittedly, it doesn't look very pretty at the moment, so you will want to actually go through and take a lot more time than I did here and straighten this out, make sure it's looking really nice, okay? And being true to what you see over here with your model, okay? Alright, well that's enough messing with that for now, because I could sit here and fix that if that's basically what you want, okay? The other side here, I'm going to leave up to you to see if we can apply those skills. You should be able to take what you've learned with putting this piece together over here. This one even has got less pieces to put together, so it's going to be probably even easier for you. So just make sure that you create these two sides that look pretty identical, alright? And once you're done with that, you'll want to scale them up so that you're using up as much of this gray box as you possibly can, alright? So you'll scale those up, keep them inside the gray box, don't go outside the gray box, okay? This is where you'll be able to paint your texture, alright? So you can see where something like this, I can see clearly as a texture artist what part of the tooth I'm looking at and painting on, alright? So I can tell, alright, this is the gum up here, this is where I need to be painting my gum texture, this has got to be shark tooth texture down here, painted on. Whereas with something like this, your texture artist will be going, I don't know what's the gum, I don't know what's the tooth, and also when your UVs are shaped differently from your actual model, there will be a lot of stretching and squashing with your texture. Okay, it will look very pretty. So that's it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions about any of this UV mapping stuff. Thanks for watching, and happy UV mapping.